Okay, everybody, good afternoon. What is going on? We are just one day away from Seattle Seahawks preseason football, and we had a final practice today before the game. Of course, there wasn't really much of a practice to speak of. It was walkthrough day, it was a light day, it was a short day, so much so that we were actually done before 11:30. So I'm going to talk about what can be talked about, but most of the intrigue from today was not from what happened on the practice field. It was from what happened in the post-practice press conference with Mike Macdonald. And Macdonald spoke at some length about mostly Terrion Arnold, which isn't surprising, but he also talked about the plan for tomorrow. He talked about the intentions for the first preseason game. So I want to take a look at some of the things that he said in the last half hour or so, and basically just get a feel for what to expect tomorrow, as well as what to expect with Arnold. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So one note of what happened today on the field: Jadarian Price was out there, but remember, it's just a walkthrough, so that's not super meaningful. But he was out there, which indicates that his injury, whatever it is not that bad, but it's bad enough to keep him from actually being able to simulate football. And Macdonald did confirm that Price will not play tomorrow. So no Jadarian Price. And my understanding is, let me check this real quick, Emmanuel Wilson will also probably not be out there, because when they asked about him, Mike said he'll be back at some point, which doesn't sound to me like he'll be back tomorrow. So we've got that going on. That leaves us pretty thin in the backfield. So going to be a little bit of George Halani, going to be a good amount of Velez Jones Jr., going to be some TJ Harden, going to be some Justin Jones. We're going to be mixing it up a little bit with some players that have long odds to make the team. And that's fine. I mean, it's the first preseason game. There's nothing wrong with that. But no Price, no Wilson, and of course, no Charbonnet, and I believe no Jacardia Wright, because my understanding is Jacardia Wright is still injured as well. I haven't heard his name in a while, so maybe he healed up in the background, but I don't think Jacardia Wright's going to be available either. So that's the main stuff concerning like injury stuff. Derek Hall is banged up right now, but it's not a long-term injury. Yeah, there were a couple other little injury notes here and there, but I want to get into the Terrion Arnold stuff now, because Mike actually had a lot to say on the topic of Terrion Arnold, and then we'll loop back around and talk a little bit more about this game. But to explore what Macdonald had to say about Arnold, he spoke for quite some time about why the team decided to do this. He dedicated a good chunk of the press conference to the Terrion Arnold stuff, which, I mean, of course, even if he didn't do that, the people asking questions probably would have driven the conversation that way. What he basically said was they viewed him very highly in the draft, which isn't surprising, and they believe that he fits in the secondary. They believe that his skill set fits well with what the Seahawks do defensively, and I'm going to have a video either later today or early tomorrow talking a little bit more about Arnold the player, but I definitely think that is a very valid thing to believe. I think that is correct, and I think that his skill set fits what we do much better than what Detroit does. So this is something I talked about a little bit with the Hawks Nest about yesterday, and he went into good detail on why that might be the case, but he does fit what we do. And they liked him in the draft. They respect the situation with the legal matter, but they saw an opportunity to bring on a player they liked a lot, and can't really argue too much against that. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer, best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today, and remember to always gamble responsibly. Now, there was one part of the press conference answer Q&A where, number one, Macdonald did acknowledge they don't know exactly what they're going to do with Arnold. They're not 100% sure when he's going to get in, when he's actually going to be able to play, when they're going to actually deploy him in a preseason game. They're still kind of conceiving of exactly how they're going to onboard him. But I think it's pretty safe to say he will not be playing tomorrow. So I would not expect to see him for the Seahawks in the Dallas game. And they're still kind of trying to put together exactly what they're going to do with him. And they also talked a little bit about the legal issue, but no new light. And what I mean by that is, when asked about the legal issue, he basically said, I don't know what's going to happen. He didn't have any inside information. He was aware that it was a serious matter, and he believed that the team was going to respect whatever the legal system comes up with on him. But he doesn't know how that's going to play out. He's not an expert on the timetable. He's not totally aware of the ultimate resolution of the case. He's just going to take it one day at a time with him. And I mean, I don't know what else he would really be able to say about it, but it's definitely the right mentality to have, because this is a player that can get taken away from you at any time. And you're definitely looking at him as a nice to have player at the moment, rather than a player that you are making a integral part of your defense. He did point out, and we knew this, but there are people in the building that spoke up for Terrion Arnold and vouched for his character. I think Nick Saban has vouched for his character from the outside as well. And of course, we've got Josh Jobe, we've got Jalen Milroe, we've got Carl Scott. So there's a lot of energy in the locker room in Terrion Arnold's favor. And that is one of the big driving forces behind this signing getting done. Now, everybody can vouch for his character all he wants to. If he goes to jail, he goes to jail, but we'll let that resolve itself over time and hope that we're able to get good things out of him before we get there. And hopefully he's able to ultimately get cleared of all that. And Macdonald also indicated that he didn't know what Goodell was going to do either. So they really are just kind of going with the flow on this one, and they don't have any strong answers yet. Now, he did address this from a Nemhauser talking about press man, because Terrion Arnold and all the corners in Detroit play a lot of press man, which is not necessarily to Terrion Arnold's strengths. And I'm going to make a whole video about this later, but if you want a kind of preview of that conversation, or excuse me, that discussion, you can watch the Hawks Nest stream I did yesterday, where Brandon of the Hawks Nest did a really good job talking about how Detroit is doing something with their corners that almost no other team does. And it kind of puts them in a tough situation, especially Terrion Arnold, who did not come into the league as a press man corner. He came into the league as a zone corner. And you can see that without directly saying it, the Seahawks look at Terrion Arnold and see a player that can do the things they want their corners to do, which is much more zone. But he can do the other stuff as well to a point, which is also very valuable here, because we prize versatility. We value versatility in our players. Going beyond the Terrion Arnold topic, and like I said, I'm probably going to do another video on Arnold later today, but talking about the Dallas game a little bit more, he acknowledged that a lot of the established starters will not play. So no Sam Darnold, no DeMarcus Lawrence, no Leonard Williams, no Byron Murphy, no Devin Witherspoon, no Charles Cross. I wouldn't expect to see pretty much any of those guys. Maybe somebody like a Gray Zabel, because he's young and in his second year. But for the most part, it's going to be empty out the benches game, which I think we all expected. The main disappointment would just be Jadarian Price not being available and Julian Neal not being available. But other than that, I think everything's going to go according to plan. I think they're doing what they were intending to do all along. So for the most part, while we do have some injuries lingering around on this team, most of them are not going to affect the plan tomorrow. He did say George Holani would get reps, which is probably by necessity because we're missing so many running backs. So I don't know if it'll be a lot. I didn't get the sense from Macdonald's answers that it would be a lot, but he did indicate that there would be some action for Holani. He said that Locke will start and then Milroe will come in, so intimating no Darnold. So we're going to see Locke first, Milroe second, and both those players will get to work with the units that they're most familiar with from practice, because obviously Locke typically works with the 2s and Milroe works with the 3s, although they do try to mix it up a little bit. Going beyond just the scope of this one game, he did also talk about Robbie Ouzts. They do not believe that Robbie Ouzts' injury is career-threatening. It's season-ending, obviously, his season's over, but they do not believe that his career is threatened right now, so that's a good sign. And it would be great if we could get him back next year. I know that's a long way away, but we do want to do fullback stuff in this offense, and it's unfortunate that we actually went out of our way to get a fullback, and now he's out for the season after really trying to learn the ropes last season and only near the end of the season really starting to get the hang of the fullback thing. So that's good. I'm definitely going to file that under good news. Yeah, and here's Holani getting reps in the preseason game, like I said, also from Hawk Blogger. And I believe that's really about it. So basically, I think we know all the information we're going to know for tomorrow's game. They're not going to take any chances with anybody who's banged up. They're not going to mess around with any of their key players. So focus in on the things that they give you to focus in on, and there's going to be plenty of fun stuff on the back end of the roster too. So with all that being said, I'm going to get on out of here. At least one more video later today. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a great rest of your day, and more stuff coming.